Hello, good evening and welcome to News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Adesawe Kanda in Accra, and you can hear us live on 3FM 92.7. We're also streaming live on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. Let's start with the summaries of today's major news highlights. A new governing council for University of Science and Technology is to be reconstituted on Friday, November 2nd, for academic work to resume on November 8th. These were made known after a crunch meeting in Accra between government and the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG. And early on today in the day, the minority in Parliament demanded the dismissal of the Education Minister and the Minister of State responsible for tertiary education. At a news conference in Accra, the minority leader Haruna Idrisu said the two have showed their support publicly for the Vice-Chancellor, and the dissolved council of the KNUST must also take responsibility for incidents at the university. And the Education Workers Union of Ghana, TEWU, at the KNUST say it will go on strike if government fails to reinstate the dissolved governing council. The union says it does not recognize the interim council. Members of TEWU Monday morning embarked on a demonstration to register their displeasure against the dissolution of the council. And also tonight, the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, says a decision to contract his hotel for the luncheon had the board's approval. A leaked memo last week showed the authority had paid 10,652 cedis to the hotel for lunch for 8 people. Those are our major news highlights. Remember, you can hear me on 3FM 92.7 and follow us on our live stream on Facebook. Let's start with our very first story tonight. A new governing council for the University of Science and Technology is to be reconstituted on Friday, November 2nd, for academic work to resume on November 8th. These were made known after a crunch meeting in Accra between government and the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG.
The 3-hour meeting between government and UTAG was held behind closed doors. After deliberations with the leadership of UTAG, government has directed that a new governing council be constituted by Friday, November 2, while investigations into the incidents on campus are carried out.
Council is expected to be reconstituted by Friday, November 2nd, 2018. The reconstituted council will then take over from the interim governing council. UTAG has undertaken to restore services, cooperate in resolution efforts, and encourage other stakeholders to join resolution efforts. In accordance with the earlier directive by the President of the Republic, the university is expected to reopen by November 8, 2018 for normal academic work to resume.
National President of UTAG, Dr. Rikopoku, praised government for agreeing to reconstitute the Council of KNUST.
We support it and we are going to abide by it to make sure that law and order is restored on KNUST campus and our dear students return back for us to do what we love to do best. We're hoping that all arrangements being put in place to make sure that the council is reconstituted, Vice-Chancellor restored, all of it would work accordingly, according to the timetable.
He pledged strong commitment to ensure internal problems are resolved amicably. On Monday, October 22, students of the university embarked on a demonstration which turned violent, leading to the destruction of property.
Meanwhile, the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II has held a closed-door meeting with various interest groups at Mensha Palace in Kumasi over the students' violent protests and the university management's impasse.
The Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II, who is Chancellor of the university, was out of the country during the students' protest, which resulted in the vandalism of property on campus. The Asante Regional Security Council closed down the university indefinitely until government last Thursday announced the dissolution of the university's governing council and the reconstitution of an interim council. Government's decision has been resisted by various interest groups on campus, including the University Teachers Association of Ghana (UTAG), the Teachers and Education Workers Union (TEU), the Ghana Association of University Administrators (GAWA), and the Federation of University Senior Staff Association of Ghana (FUSAG). These groups insist the acts and statutes of the university provide adequate mechanisms in resolving the impasse and want the dissolved council reinstated. Representatives of all these groups, as well as the management and students' representative council of the university, met with the Chancellor Otumfuo Osei-Etu in a closed-door meeting at the Menchia Palace on Monday. TEU chair at the KNUST, Charles Arthur, who was at the meeting, spoke to TV3.
Chancellor said that the government can withdraw its members being the 4 and then replace them. And then he is ready, he is prepared to allow that, and then he will inaugurate them either Friday or before Friday so that that council can go ahead. By this, the Vice Chancellor will have to go ahead doing his work.
All right, let's get onto the telephone lines now and speak with the Vice Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, who is also a member of the Vice Chancellor's Ghana. Good evening, Prof, and thank you extremely for joining us. So this decision must come at good news to you, the directive to reconstitute a governing council so that they will take full responsibility from the interim management council.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, now I can hear you.
So I'm saying that to the extent that government has asked the Vice Chancellor of the University, KNUST, to step aside, a few hours later, there are indications that in less than a week, he will take over his reign as Vice Chancellor. The key issue is that government has directed that the governing council be reconstituted. And I'm asking whether this is good news for Vice Chancellor's Ghana.
Oh, I think that as far as we're concerned, the issues have been resolved because from the discussions that we've been part of and from the statements that have been issued by government, it is clear that government is in the process of reconstituting the University Council, and we had indication that the Chancellor of the University, Otumfuo, has been requested to lead the process. So we are very happy with that.
But talking about Otumfuo's role as the Chancellor of the university, there are questions being asked as to whether or not government consulted him as the Chancellor before making any decisions that followed, that is, decisions of asking the VC to step aside and decisions of forming an interim management council and all of that. Do you get the impression that he was consulted?
Well, I'm not able to speak for government. I do not speak for government. What I know is that the Otumfuo was out of town at the time this incident happened. My information also has it that there were attempts to resolve the issue by some chiefs of Kumasi who were representing Otumfuo, but this is all speculation. What I know is that the council was going to meet on Friday, and then on Thursday, the interim council was put in place. So the whole process was stalled. But I think that is all water under the bridge. Where we are now, we've made progress. We were appealing to government to listen and ensure that the right thing is done, such that the statutes and the acts are followed.
Yeah.
And we think that government has listened to all of us. And Ghana has won. I mean, there is no winner nor loser. It's Ghana that has won because the trajectory that we were on was such that we were probably heading to very massive industrial actions in the country. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants to have the universities closed down when then academic activity comes to a halt.
I remember when I spoke to you on Friday, you did raise the concern that the government should have allowed the universities' systems to work. You know, if it means reconstituting the governing council,
yes, I did,
all the relevant systems
I did say that
to
government
work.
should allow the systems to work, and I think government is allowing the systems to work now. So we are all happy.
Right. Prof, we're grateful for your time. Thank you extremely for joining us. Let's move on. Still stay on this issue. Early on, the minority in Parliament demanded the dismissal of the Education Minister and the Minister of State responsible for tertiary education. At a news conference in Accra, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, says the two who have showed their support publicly for the Vice-Chancellor and the dissolved Council of the KNUST must also take responsibility for incidents at the university.
It must be emphasized that we would not accept the erosion and respect to the rule of law and its possible substitution for the rule of the rule. We're a country governed by law, a country governed by a constitution which provides in Article 21 and 70 provisions that protect the academic freedom of our tertiary institutions. And in particular, Act 454 of 1993, the National Council for Tertiary Education. You can see a government in a hurry to dissolve council without recourse to due process. We submit strongly that the whole impasse, which has now spiraled out of control, is a mark of failure of leadership by government and a reflection of their super incompetence characterized by rule of the rule. We are in government, we are in power, we will do as it pleases when they should be respecting the laws and due process.
This is News at 10. We're live on TV3 and 3FM 92.7. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back. Please stay. Welcome back. Now, the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, says the decision to contract his hotel for the luncheon had the board's approval. A leaked memo last week showed the authority had paid 10,652 cedis to the hotel for lunch for 8 people.
A spirited defense. Ghana Maritime Authority offered the leaked memo that went viral last week. Content of the memo was defended by management of the authority, except a quick dismissal of portions they say were doctored. The Director General, who had not been in the country, was contacted after management released the memo. He blamed some people within and outside the authority who are bent on seeing him fail. On claims of conflict of interest position in the award of the lunch contract to his hotel Lax Suite Executive Hotel, Kwame Owusu says it was purely a board decision and cannot constitute a conflict of interest. He will, however, not respond to further questions except to say the authority will hold a news conference with a full complement of the board to address the issues. The Ministry of Transport has waded into the controversies at the Ghana Maritime Authority. A statement issued and signed by the Minister of Transport has directed the board of the authority to investigate happenings at the authority. The same board, the Director General says, gave approval for the Deluxe Executive Hotel, which he owns, to supply lunch for members of the authority and stakeholders. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
The youth group calling itself Fix Our Bridges Now has given the Ghana Highway Authority and the sector ministry up to November 12 to complete footbridges on the Medina-Denta Ebri Highway all risk. A protest. The 7 pedestrian footbridges were part of the Tetekwashi Manfi Highway project, which was opened to traffic in 2013.
An estimated 200 lives have been lost on the stretch through motor accidents. The Ghana Highway Authority promised to get the footbridges completed by the end of October. Executive member of Fix Our Bridges Now, Richmond Kwesi Aguia, expressed the frustration of residents in communities along the highway.
If we scream, then our shout is not enough to be heard. I mean, then we are joking. So we're just pleading on the higher authorities to come to our aid. Nobody wants to be in the Sandemo Street nor anything. But I think that they should know that we would actually escalate our grievances if nothing is done. It's not a threat. It's a simple message.
Assemblyman for Adenta West, Rashid Osebonsu, expressed disappointment over lack of feedback from people responsible for the completion of the footbridges.
We have been able to get to every important individual who has relation to work on that bridge. Nothing has been, nobody has communicated to this. Government has the capability. Maybe we have not been loud enough. So I'm entreating all residents of Medina-Denta, Pantai, Oyaefa, everybody who uses the highway, that is the Ebri-Medina highway, to join us on the 12th of November whilst we move. This is an action for all. November now or never.
MC of Lankwantanai Medina Municipality, Jennifer Dede Ajabin, assured them of the completion of the footbridges.
October is not over technically for me, because now I can start agitating after October. What if I start today and tomorrow I see some works? So I am also waiting patiently. But I believe that with the assurances that we've been given, even if nothing has started, we will go back and get information on why the footbridges or no work has been seen as commencing yet.
Footbridges must be seen as a road safety issue rather than just courage for pedestrians.
This is News at 10. We're live on TV3 and we're also live on 3FM 92.7. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now, the Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executive elections will take place in 2021. The Deputy Minister for Local Government, Obi Amwa, who made this known at the GJA Star Ghana project in Accra, said the bill currently before Cabinet will be sent to Parliament soon.
The Deputy Local Government and Rural Development Minister, Obi Amwa, said government is on course to deliver on its promise for the elections of the chief executives, adding that processes to kickstart the referendum ahead of the elections are underway.
We are still at the pre-referendum stage. Pre-referendum in the sense that before we go for the district level elections and referendum in September 2019, a lot of activities will have to be carried out. Stakeholder consultations across the country.
The GJA Star Ghana Local Governance Project is on the theme Enhanced Media CSO Partnership for Inclusive Local Governance. The project will equip journalists across the country to undertake advocacy on the referendum.
The GJA advocacy around the proposed elections is dubbed Agenda 6040, which translates into carrying out sustained public policy, public advocacy, campaign and partnership with civil society actors, key government institutions and citizens to secure 40% participation and 75% of the registered voters voting yes to the referendum.
A senior partner at IDE, Dr. Kwesi Jonah, wants the media to engage civil society on the project. The project management consultant, Kojo Imprim, explained the rudiments of the project.
And the context of this project, we are aware that government has proposed a number of reforms going forward that directly affect the quality or otherwise of local governance, economic service delivery, and among them are the constitutional review and reform for the district assembly elections, the proposed election of MMDCs that we've been hearing, and also the creation of new regions, which is underway.
The NMC member and veteran journalist Dr. Doris Yadate introduced some members of GJA for the project.
And that's it for News at 10. Thanks for your time. Good night.